Welcome back and happy Monday. I hope your weekend was great. Mine was fantastic. I was away for this weekend. I went to St. Augustine, and what a beautiful place. I had a great time. I want to say hello everybody out there on Pilled and on YouTube and on Rumble. Welcome in tonight. Tonight's show, No Mercy, Primaries, Annihilate, January 6th, RINO traitors, Killing the Save Act. Yep. We're going to break that all down in a lot of different facets. And Iran's never clocked. Obviously, there's no timetable about what's going on with Iran. Something else is anew. And there's so much other stuff we'll get into. I didn't have enough to qualitatively fill in the space because they didn't allow you to do that. Let's welcome my co-host, Marshall Smith. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Just getting ready for, I guess, this weekend is Memorial Day already.
You didn't even know it was Memorial Day, right? Until I told you.
Well, we talked about it. I thought it was a week from now. Anyway.
You didn't even know.
Well, it is a week from now.
He's arguing with me saying it wasn't next week, and I'm like looking at the calendar. I'm like, yes, it is. Next Monday is Memorial Day.
Yeah, and it's early because it's 5 days before it's the last Monday.
Right.
So anyway, it's weird. So now I got to hurry up and get my, America 250 shirt and. Thank God I've got it.
I mean, do you read the calendar and tell time? Do you have an actual physical calendar?
I look at the calendar every day and I'm like, I don't know.
What calendar are you looking at from last year? I mean, honestly.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, Trusty Turnip. It was fun. I had to go. My cousin lives up there and he's got 3 young kids, so I haven't seen them, and it was good to see them. Got to check out. The area was beautiful. I've never been there, so at least that I can recall. Not in the fashion of what it is now. The historic district was great. Yeah, it's a little pricey. It's old. It's nice. I mean, it's all built up, and the beaches are beautiful. It's nice being on the Atlantic side. I mean, I like that because I'm not a Gulf beach person. I'm not at all. I can tell you that right now. I don't go to the Gulf beaches at all unless I go down to Punta Gorda. There's an area over there. Certain areas over there that are really nice, even though it's just timid or whatever. I still prefer always the Atlantic Ocean. I think it's great. It's fantastic, and it's always not too cold. Sometimes
got the wave action. It's nice.
Yeah, I mean, when you grow up with that, I mean, you're still East Coast, and it's hard to get away from that, especially where I was been living. So, yeah, let's get into it and say hello to everybody. What's up, True Terran? Greetings. Yeah, greetings to you. I know it's early. We're starting. Everybody's, matriculating in. Wood USA, what's up? Thank you for the 217 gold pills. Patty B, how you doing? Darla L, what's going on? Boy, I like these little stickers here. Who else is here tonight? Yes, Trusty Turnup. Thank you so much. Wood USA. Let's say, okay, so everybody's here. Everybody's coming in and stuff. It's early and stuff. So we'll get to it. Yeah, we're celebrating the 250 years. We're going to have all these decorative stuff. We're doing all these different things. I'm going to be doing more shows. I'll let you know about the Memorial Day weekend. Good chance. I'm definitely doing Friday, definitely doing Thursday. Now, Sunday, if I can get back from the barbecue, I'll do it. But if not, I'm doing a Monday show because I just plan on keeping things so simple and so easy and stuff. Marshall will probably be on his Tinder date or whatever, his Grinder date. So I'll be doing the show alone.
I don't do date apps, man.
No, just Joe. Rudy,
I don't need to, man.
I know. Oh, yeah, I know. You're just a stud, man.
Yeah, they just crawl all over me, man.
Yeah, they do. They do. Okay, let's get into it tonight because I have a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. So like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Comments, questions, concerns. If you want to support the platform, you know what to do. You know how to do it. I don't want to keep repeating myself and being rhetorical. If you want to help out, marshallkofi.com/surfdog74. Good to see everybody out there. Let's continue on this because there was a lot of interesting stuff. I didn't get back until later on in the day, so I didn't get to see all the stuff. There was a prayer event going on, so I got caught up in some of it. I was upstairs in the office after I got settled. I was kind of tired, but I was watching some of the prayer service. It was pretty good. Caught some of the quips and stuff. So this is some of the stuff that I got. JD Vance has, but I want to move on after this. And, look, the Poly Market and Kalishi and other polls are all still polling in the same way they're dead even. Vance and Rubio in some way. And I think in some way, I think you need to not think about who the next presidential contender is going to be from the Republican Party. You should focus on what batshit crazy nut job from the Democrats or the communists or socialists or whatever this party is going to look like in a couple of years. That's what you need to focus on. And will it be the same, let's just say, structure it is now? I'm going to say right now, there's a great possibility what we talk about now in 2.5 years' time will not be the same type of engineered manufacturing garbage that will be put on display. Things are going to be completely different. And I think you need to hold on to your hats about how things are going to look. And you can consider that there might be another party in play. And I'll just leave that out there for another time to discuss. And I hope that you take the time to think about it. So Vice President Vance rededicates the 250 message, and we are celebrating the 250 years of the United States, of the greatest country of America. I always ask people to pray for wisdom, pray for courage, pray for their leadership, that we know that the path of God wants us to walk. Pray for courage, that we have the ability to walk that path. We are lucky because we live in the greatest country in the world. The problem that we face a lot of times is that, you know, we don't spend enough time recognizing that. We don't spend enough time with the glorifications and all the other things that we should also give thanks and praise to, that we were born here, that we're American citizens here, generations of our families have moved here, they've come here. Think about the people, all right, who've lost their lives. We're coming up on Memorial Day. Think about the people that have sacrificed themselves. Think about the unknown soldier. Think about all the people that have given their lives, okay, in the course of making this country, sacrificing everything, laying it all down to give us something that we're fighting for still to hold on, all right? And it's getting better every day, but people don't want to realize what President Trump is doing. All they want to do is attack and bitch and moan in some way, because that means he's winning. That means he's actually saving this country. He's doing it every day. And this, to me, having this great prayer dedication on Sunday, that I missed some of it, I caught some, was amazing. It was fantastic. When was the last time we had a revival like this? Maybe since Reagan's time? That's about it. There is something that is coming back. There is a yearning. There is a want. There is a need to have God and Jesus Christ in our hearts. Despite of our flaws, despite of all our situations that we face and all our differences that we have to overcome, in some way, our subtleties that we have to overcome, whether it's alcohol, gambling, and all these other things, porn. I mean, you think about all these things that people are nestled in, but there is a youth out there, a youth and a revival to have God and faith back in our country. When was the last time you could say it? This is amazing, and I'm so glad that we are starting to discover who we are and where we're going.
It is the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence of Almighty God, to obey his will, to be grateful for his benefits, and humbly to implore his protection and favor. These were the opening lines of America's first ever Thanksgiving proclamation. But whatever milestone it represented in the brief life of our young republic, the duty Washington described to honor, obey, and give thanks to our Creator was woven into America's character long before the founding. A keen awareness of that duty has stretched all the way back from William Bradford's own Pilgrim Proclamation in 1623 to the opening prayer of our First Continental Congress, to Lincoln's call for national Thanksgiving in the midst of the Civil War, to this very gathering today. We have always been and still are a nation of prayer, and thank God for that. In times of suffering and in times of triumph, millions of Americans continue to turn to prayer and their faith in God. John Adams famously said that our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. It was obvious to the founders that our faith was the ground upon which America stands. It was our very foundation as a people. And if this foundation were to crumble, so too would the very values that make us Americans. From our religious inheritance comes many of the virtues and institutions we most cherish as a people. Our system of justice, our generosity to neighbors, our respect for conscience, and the moral discipline necessary for liberty itself. As my dear friend, the late great Charlie Kirk put it, all law reflects a morality. Neither law nor morality appears in a vacuum, but ultimately come from religion. And the morality and religion that formed the American consciousness were decidedly Christian, founded upon the principles and the divinity of Jesus Christ. In 1783, Washington also proclaimed that imitation of divine charity is necessary for the mutual affection of our citizenry and the happiness of our nation. If we do not see that God loves us, we have little reason and little inspiration to love one another. This love, which forms our morality, is the foundation of a peaceful and healthful society. That's why it's so encouraging to see a renewed sense of faith emerging among America's young people. Defying predictions, the experts said that religion and faith were dying. Today, a wave of young Americans is returning to the pews. And we know that they're looking for meaning, for authority, for direction, and of course, for closeness with God. That should give all of us hope for our future together as Americans. It certainly gives me hope as your vice president. Because prayer is not merely something we do in times of crisis. It is a continual disposition of love toward God, and through that love toward one another, through our fellow citizens. As we celebrate 250 years, I thank you all for joining on such a happy and wonderful occasion. And just as I pray for all of you, I ask for your prayers, for me, for the president, and for the entire cabinet. I always ask people to pray for wisdom and for courage for their leadership. Pray for wisdom that we know the path God wants us to walk. Pray for courage that we have the ability to walk that path. You'll be in my prayers as I hope I'll be in yours. May God bless you all.
A very eloquent and excellent point. Way to cap this off, way to finish it. This was fantastic. And this is what America's about. Happy birthday, Trusty Turnip. I didn't realize it was birthday, or happy belated, as Sean Joe is relating to you. I didn't know that. I apologize for not conveying my thing. So my wish is, so happy birthday, TT. Everybody give a big warm welcome to Trusty Turnip. All right, it is her birthday. Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. I didn't know. Why didn't you say something?
Everybody's in May. So many. Even my grocery store manager that I go to, his birthday was Go Taurus.
Oh, that's great. Well, happy birthday. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to give that right away on your day. I hope your birthday was great and you celebrate with your family. Marshall, your thoughts? I mean, regarding this was a fantastic overview, a great summary to really break in where we are about this country, break in the idea and understandings that prayer and spirituality, God is coming back into our realm. We're basically, in some way, accepting, driving in this force. We're trying to push Satan out that controls this planet, this prison planet, and a lot of different heretical ideas that are out there and religions that are out there. But the key that he said, it's a Christian nation. So why do we have so many freaking mosques and synagogues in this country? Because unfortunately, our First Amendment affords that luxury. But yet we have Christian laws that are being broken every day. And they're laws to protect Jews and Muslims, but not Christians. So his words ring true that our First Amendment, our freedom of speech, and being a Christian nation. Do we recognize other faiths? Well, yeah, of course we do, because everybody has a right to practice whatever they want to practice. But just because you practice that faith doesn't make your faith bigger than mine. In fact, your faith is allowed to be practiced because the Christian principles that were created of the Constitution to be what? Cemented into history is the defining understanding and principle why you're here and why you're allowed to what? Allow your faith. But don't get it twisted anyway. Your faith is only as good as you allow that control of that without spiraling out of control like we saw today. Mass suicide attack in a San Diego mosque. 2 shooters dead, but 5 people committed suicide. They're holding back all those people's names, and obviously they have no race or ethnicity. They're aliens. I wonder who those people are. Marshall, your thoughts? What an impactful statement. I was just moved by what he said, and I couldn't be even more moved. This is why, every day I try to convince myself I don't like this guy, but he has moments of clarity and efficacy that he speaks so well, and he's so good at it, and he really just nails the point, especially of this. I mean, yes, Marco Rubio is the diplomat. He's the principal diplomat, and he probably will be the vice president. But when I look at this guy, and when he says these things, and articulate as he is, he really conveys something of substance that rings true, and there is a reason why many of the people who don't like him because of their whatever deep-seated roots about Palantir and how he got here, is he a fraud, is he this or something like that? So I just want to hear your thoughts. I thought it was really good. What do you thought? It was scripted or not? Do you believe that he actually was conveying something that he actually felt? Did you feel that at all? Or was it just a bunch of words and it didn't mean anything?
Well, I had it on all day.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that really got me the most is the fact that they went so long.
Right.
I mean, that alone says a whole lot. I mean, it was almost like 10 hours. It felt like, it seemed like, I mean,
it was 10 hours. When I got home around 2, I turned on after I washed the car. I had to put the clothes away, I had to do this, do laundry, do all this stuff, get the dog situated. I put it on. I was upstairs around 3 or 4, and that pastor is on with the beard, and I guess he's out there done. I guess they're all tired. I don't know if he's drinking after. He's like holding a microphone. He's like, he said something, you guys can't get me something to hold my microphone up or something like that. I mean, I guess these people were really just, they were stretched. They were stretched.
The heat and the longevity of it. And, some of them singing was, I forget, I don't know the guy's name. He did the Charlie Kirk thing.
Okay.
When the memorial. And it just gets a little bit too, I don't know what I would have preferred to hear gospel.
Pedantic or
it was just
over the top?
It was like whiny on my. I mean, I don't mean it. I'm not downing it.
Church, is that what you're saying? To when you get into those Baptist preacher moments and stuff like that,
it wasn't exciting. It was very kind of preachy.
Okay,
really just I wanted to hear some gospel songs where people are jumping around.
Sounds like a Jerry Lewis telethon. Very good, Trusty.
It was.
Like I said, I don't know. I didn't see any of it. So
yeah, it was a little too much on that part. But I know that still they're out there in the heat, right. And I'm like, hey, I'll just keep it on and I'll keep doing what I'm doing around the house.
Well, I'm not. The thing is, I'm not going to be critical and hyperbolic and mocking and stuff. Look. Everybody else can have their faiths and build their mosque and have all this other shit. Why can't we have this? So whatever took place and stuff, I commend it. I think it's fantastic. I saw the tail end of it because I got home late. I heard about it. I was watching it on Rumble. I saw clips of it, YouTube. I was trying to catch a lot of stuff as I was just trying to put the show together for today and really think about it. I didn't really want to go too much off of this, but it's fantastic in a lot of ways that we're doing this, that we're seeing this in America as the lead up to our 250th anniversary. It is absolutely glorious that we are in some way recapturing our faith because our faith has been stolen. It's been looted. Yes, it has, because we've been divided and conquered, not just by race and sex and all these other crazy things that have been put in our place to separate us, throw the aliens out there. Oh, yeah. How do you have the aliens with God? All this other stuff. Here's another grenade to throw in there to destroy the Christian faith and the faithfuls. Basically make the Catholics even more crazy. Let's get another cuckoo Cocoa Puffs nut job. Vicar of the Pope. Yeah, another one of those nut jobs. Yeah, that's all we need. Let's just make it so much that we're just feeding the beast of nonsensical behavior and other religions look more rational. No, that's not what we want. In fact, what we want is what we saw, I guess, when I went back and I spent hours looking at all this stuff, hearing different discussions. I thought that was a really good event that happened. And I heard the president talk about, look, President Trump, what is he? He's a pragmatist. He's Episcopalian. He's a Christian, but he's not like, his faith is not I would say equal to Rubio. I think Rubio is a Catholic, but I would say other people like J.D. Vance, I don't know if he's a Catholic. I'm not saying I know he's a Christian, but I don't think. But what I'm saying is that what I saw is that it wasn't dividing us. It was defining us. Do you understand that? It wasn't dividing us. It was defining us. It was making us take back what was stolen from us. And I thought that was just quintessential a future. So you want to attack this president, this administration, and everything of it when we're getting back our faith, when they're speaking to this through faith, and you're saying, oh, they're just selling us a bill of goods. It's all a game. It's all bullshit. You know what? There are some people that think that because there are charlatans everywhere. There are people, grifters and grafters everywhere. But what I saw, and I had to look back and what I seen and stuff, I didn't see that. I saw a lot of good people wanting to reach a level to something that, they haven't reached before. Some level of spirituality or faith. And I think, you know what? You should not look past that. You shouldn't look past it. It's a defining moment for this country. All right, let me move on.
I want to say one last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
The thing that impressed me by the end of it, at the end of the day, and it was over,
Mm-hmm.
all I could think of was to myself, how in the heck did these guys manage to do this this much time?
Right.
The whole day. That really was impressive. I'm like, that's incredible. So that was my big takeaway on it.
Stun Gone, what's up, buddy? Thank you for the $10 Rumble Rant. Hello, Patriots. #mega. Yeah, what's up? Rudy Poo says, I've seen my ass in the mirror, Marshall. I'm staying married, so no grinder dates.
You don't have to worry about that, buddy.
Dude, that's funny as shit. You're a funny guy. You're a funny guy. That's so
my
funny.
expense.
He's just joking around. No, you know what it is? Marshall doesn't want you to. I just joke with him.
You can have your fun.
No, he's not. He's got a little girlfriend, so I tease him and stuff like that. That's like, so if he's got a disappearing act, he's like that. All right, let's continue on. So Q Stormrider, because this goes into what we're talking about today. What happened to Bill Cassidy? We're breaking these motherfucking, all right, cuck rhinos who sold out President Trump, all right, in 2020, 1 of 7, which is equals 17. What did they do? They voted against President Trump, tried to impeach him, and the January 6 people were going right into it. In a stunning blow to Democrats, and this we're going to talk about the SAVE Act and everything with it. Democrats, 76% of Black Americans. Finally, you're waking up. You're not at Chipotle in D.C. Well, you were. The youth black is, basically smashing, destroying anything. You're not up here in some park in Tampa with a bunch of guns shooting at each other, which you were a couple of weeks ago. But at least, all right, the legit Black Americans that have some intelligence want a nationwide voter ID. Yeah, it's probably the older ones because they're smart. They're wise. They get it. In other words, Save America Act. White voters, 85% want it. Latino voters want it, 82% want it. Another leftist narrative just got decimated. Let's play this. This is fantastic.
85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of Black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country.
It's not. And I'm going to tell you why. What we're seeing right now, everybody's like, why is President Trump going after Massey and Boebert? I'll explain that very soon. But I'm going to say, why is Lindsey Graham and John Thune and all this other stuff, all right, in some way? Because he controls both those guys. The reality is about John Thune. If John Thune wasn't the majority leader, he would be in the Senate voting against it. He is under the thumb and the control. After what you witnessed with Cassidy, I'll explain. But I believe, this is my theory, that I do believe very soon, all right, as certain things roll out about 2020, they will have no choice to be forced to push this out and sign the deal, or basically vote the deal into legislature where President Trump can sign it, because they know the ticking clock of 2 years after in 28 for the people that are up for re-election. Murkowski, Collins is up for re-election this year. Her time is up. She's in deep trouble right now. And I know President Trump is probably going to support her, and that might sway the vote. But if you get her and then Murkowski and say, hey, look, she's done anyway, because in 22 she's going to be primary, but she's not up for re-election this year, but she will be primary. I don't know where this is going. I think there's a conversation. She was running for governor in Alaska. I'm not sure. But the point being, after you saw Cornyn's going to go down, and now Cassidy's down. If you're a senator right now and you're on the hot seat, you better vote for the SAVE Act. Because if you turn against President Trump, as Cassidy did in 2020 and 2021, voted to impeach him and all the January 6 people, well, you know what? You got third place, which is no place, which is last place. Let's continue.
A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by...
I got to give my ID to go get my glasses. To proof of my health insurance. I got to give my ID for all these different things. If I get a loaner for my car and it's worked on, I got to make sure my ID and everything's in place. Everything requires an ID. Why is there such an exception? It's not because of black people or Latino people. It's because of the Democrat Party. These demon rats have convinced their voter bases, who they control on plantations, which are no longer going to be because of the new VCR, all right, voting right, VRC, and Section 2, all gone. And you're going to have redistricting everywhere. It's over. Steve Cohen gone, Wasserman Schultz gone. There's a lot of people gone. But you need to understand, black people don't wake up other day and say, do you think black people, when they want to go buy alcohol, they know they got to carry ID? You think that the guy behind the counter, okay, in certain areas, all right, that are white, let's just say that are white. You think they're going to want, especially if they're younger? I mean, come on, stop. Hell, I know what my age is, and I still get carded. And I'm like, can I give you a kiss? So anybody with this idea of pushing this idea about Target, Walgreens, CVS, all these places, if you were to buy anything in there, every alcohol place, whatever it is, Lucan's, Total Wine, you name it, unless they know you or your system, it's in the system, DoorDash, they need your ID. Stop with all this stuff. Let's play this.
Race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote.
Well, I'm glad Nicki Minaj, Marshall, qualifies all this stuff and quantitatively gives us the rationale why this is to make the Democrats look even more stupid, that person, that rap artist, has to clarify things for people to understand it. My God.
Yeah, this hard fact with the 75% of the blacks and all, I mean, it's basically everybody wants it. So it really shows the Democrats they're in a bucket of shit.
Well, why do they want it? Why do you think they want it? What is it? What is it that let's just put it blacks. Let's just focus on blacks.
Because they're feeling the sting of the illegal immigrants.
Bingo. How about Latinos or Hispanics? They just call them Latinos.
All of them. They're all right. Everybody's feeling the sting.
Right. They know in some way that their party, or the party that used to put their arms around and say, we got you, hasn't done shit for them and is pulling away from them in so many ways. And not just seeing that.
They're replacing
them. Latinos especially. Okay, you have certain segments of blacks that are Baptist, that are very religious, then, which is a small plurality of the majority. Then you have the Latino Hispanic community are very religious. They're very Catholic and they're very Christian. Yes. So when they start to see all this stuff, that's why those numbers tick up. And it plays to that base. They get it. But all the illegals and all these other people who couldn't give a fuck about life in general, your life or any else's buddy's life, which they will snatch your life from, these parademons, I call them, that are all over the place. The bottom line is simply we're starting to recognize in a lot of ways that our country is coalescing lesser to a degree with all the other craziness that's going out there. Let me continue, because tonight's show, no mercy. Primaries annihilate the J6 RINOs or RINO traitors killing the SAVE Act. And here we go. This is one of them. Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana. Man, he got popped. He got popped. GOP Senator Bill Cassidy's primary loss in Louisiana shows the power of President Trump. The power of understanding. He is the emperor. You think the power is slipping from his hands? He's like 98%. If he puts his arm around you, he gives you that love tap, it's over. It's over. President Trump's opposition highlights the importance of voting rules. Emily Fang, host, steadfast conservative. Bill Cassidy lost his Republican. I'm not going to play all this because I got to go through it. Primary race in Louisiana yesterday. He said in his concession speech that our nation is about more than a quote, one individual. Fuck you. No, that's the reason why you lost, you selfish twat. Seeming to refer to President Trump, who supported the campaign to defeat him. But this was one race and has to tell us about the state of our politics. NPR Congress reporter Eric McDaniel. I like to put these independent or left-leaning things in there so you understand the slant. Hey, thanks for having me. So Bill Cassidy did not just lose the race. He came in third. So they're rectifying this or realizing that, man, this guy got, 25%. How does a Republican incumbent lose a primary race so badly? Let me just say this. You don't. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. And let me say, a first time a GOP incumbent senator failed to advance a June 27th runoff. This is before that. That's amazing. Trump MAGA energy overwhelmed Cassidy, disloyal traitor. The signal is ongoing influence and sway over the party. It's not just that. This is a RINO reckoning, picking off disloyal fence sitters. All right. Be forewarned and expecting the hell to come to you. All right. Neither of them hit. This is Julia Letlow. All right. This is who President Trump supported. She leads by 45% with State Treasury John Fleming in second with 30%. Neither did advance to 50%, so there'll be a runoff. She's heavily favored. Even Lady Graham Cracker, key lime pie bitch, called this the party of Donald Trump. Yeah, because you're in deep shit too, buddy, in your primary. Trump's grip on the GOP Titans, 1 of 7, which is equal 17, GOP DBs, douchebags who voted to impeach Trump in 2021, was smashed into little pieces. The Louisiana GOP primary, third, 25%, falling to advance in this, and that's why he's pissed. The Senate holdouts, Collins and Murkowski. This is proof of the past irregularities and to strategize what failure means for what? Voter trust. The bottom line is of this. The red line. The Senate must pass the SAVE Act or the same fate of Senator Cassidy. As more of the 2020 election truths emerge, RINOs will fall in and out of the primaries simultaneously. You will see this extrapolation continue on and on of this course. If you don't back the play of this, where the American public, the American electorate want this from every different race, okay? From every other race that is you're seeing from Harry Eaton, the bottom line is just simply it has to go through. In short, 5 years ago, Bill Cassidy voted to convict Trump on impeachment charges after the president tried to remain in office despite losing the 2020 presidential election. As we see the embers start to matriculate out, just blow through the fire, blow through out there as it starts to heat up, and the 2020 election, ladies and gentlemen, proliferates out, and the truth comes out. Arizona, Georgia, many other states that were stolen. Everybody that backed this in some way, they're dead. They're finished politically. So Trump backed the challenger, and yesterday Cassidy lost, and there are a couple of lessons here. First, this is despite his unpopularity in the country as a whole. President Trump unquestionably has the juice and low turnout. Remember when he attacked as a doctor, all right, RFK Jr.? Remember he's pushing the jab? Well, you people are gone. Republican-only elections. Those very motivating GOP votes will still follow the president's lead. That could spell trouble for another Trump target, Kentucky Representative Thomas Masshole. Yeah, we got more of that. The president backed the primary opponent in a race after Massey pushed for the release of the Epstein files. Listen, let me tell you something about Massey, all right? He's got a lot of other problems, and we're going to cover it later, Marshall. Your thoughts as we get through this? Say hello to other people out there as we move on.
Cassidy was an idiot, and he deserved what he got. And the
He
fact
got.
the fact that he only hit 24% or something, that tells you everything. My only concern is, I hope we're in the 2% that Trump misses on here in Florida.
Right.
We can't have this guy. I'm finding more and more stuff about him. I know we'll talk about.
Well, we're going to be, what is it, 5-6 race in the primary runoff coming up?
I don't know. There's at least
how many, 5 or 6 people running for governor. That's what Marshall is suggesting in some way.
Yeah, Fishback is doing really well.
He's climbing. He's climbing. Jake Collins is staying nominal, but it's not like in some way what's his face is accelerating. He's losing pace. He's not gaining.
He's afraid. He's afraid to debate. He's
not debating. That's the problem. No, dog. What's up? Illegals have IDs, driver's license. Some have social security numbers. Biden did that, and Tennessee gave illegals and driver's license. Yeah. Here we go. Let's say hello to Trump 1. Thank you for the cookie. Hello, Feathers. Hello, fellows. Thank you. Hello to you. So, Sean Joe gifted the cookie. They're all gifted the cookie. There was a shooting at a mosque in California today, in San Diego. Yeah, I covered it earlier. I'm waiting for the narrative. Muslim jihadists are going to be. Yeah, apparently 2 shooters found in a car, 5 people dead. So there was a suicide pact where 5 of them were dead. They killed themselves or off themselves. I don't know. Story sounds off. Not really getting the bigger picture. But again, give it time and we'll find out. Curious Cat gifted the cookie. Evening, everyone. What's up, Thea? Thank you for the 700 gold pills. Darla gifted the cookie. Good evening, gentlemen. Let's go. Let's get this chat going. Okay. All right. So let's continue on. So here's Liberty Nation. Again, I'm just covering this. This is part of the thing. Bill Cassidy's primary defeat, tangle with Trump at your own peril. You have to understand, this is a very big loss for him and a big win for the Trump presidency and the Trump primary candidate that he supported. For this to happen in so many ways, for an incumbent like Bill Cassidy to basically, he didn't come in second, all right, in a close race like the Corden scenario with Bill Paxton. He came in third. He didn't even hit. He was half the mark. The Treasury of Louisiana got 30%. And I do believe Letlow is going to run away with this. We'll see how this is going to be. On Saturday, March 17th, incumbent Bill Cassidy of Louisiana failed to progress the state's Republican primary. After 2 terms in the Senate and about 2 decades in public service, the sitting senator didn't even bring in a quarter of the electorate. That shows you President Trump's sway, influence, and power. Cassidy demonstrated a political fact of life. See, we take, look, congressmen are totally different from senators. They're 6 years. A congressman comes in and out every 2 years. Okay? So their power, depending on who they are, unless they sit on, they're a chairman, they sit on some committee or what have you and stuff, depends on their sway and power. Boebert, she's gone. And I'm going to tell you why very soon. Cassidy demonstrated a political fact of life. Over the weekend, he learned a hard lesson. In the process, the GOP is still a very much the president's party. And when you tangle with the Trump at your own peril, Harry Eaton put it out there. It was like 95% of Republicans support President Trump. So when you want to go up against him, you're going to lose. He wasn't the first to learn the lesson, and he probably won't be the last. The wrong side of history. Saturday's primary result was historic. The power of the incumbency is strong. Yes, it is. It's rare for an incumbent running for re-election to lose. Much rarer still for them to be primaried out. Since direct popular election for senators began in 1914, an estimated, this is the number, this is why I want to show it, 1,500 or more incumbents have run for re-election, Marshall, and only around 110 have failed. Look at that number. Though most of them, according to Dr. Eric J. Ostermeyer of Smart Politics, were ousted via party primaries. But Cassidy didn't just lose. He came in third. Again, I highlight that. According to Dr. Ostermeyer's research, that has only happened 13 times. Do you see the impact that I'm saying? And most recent was in 1962 in February. The article for Smart Politics, Dr. Ostermeyer examined the polling data for the Texas Republican primary and speculated that John Corden, at the time ranking a close third in polls, might be first in more than 60 years to come in third or worse as the incumbent. Cornyn, in fact, came out of the number one in March 3rd primary with 41%. He isn't out of the woods yet. As of May 26th, the runoff hits him against the closest challenger, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who won by 40.7% of the vote. While Cornyn managed to avoid the nightmare scenario for any incumbent, Cassidy is living it. And here is Julia Letlow, took 44.8% and what have you. I just wanted to show you this. While Cassidy was the first senator to lose this badly in a primary in more than 60 years, this is powerful. He's far more the first to pay the price of siding against Trump Republicans. I will contend this. I will suggest this in some way. President Trump has withheld his basic who he's going to throw his arms around, who he's going to throw his hat tip, who he's going to, in some way, throw his what? His weight around for Cornyn or Paxton, and whoever gets it wins that easily, and it's over and done. After you saw the Cassidy thing, I can't imagine that it's being so tight that everybody knows, because Cornyn was another one who voted to impeach President Trump. See, when you start to get all these things out there about who these people are, that, hey, look, if you vote for me, I'll vote for the SAVE Act. It doesn't work for that. It doesn't work that way. All right? You don't work for me. You work for the people of Texas, and you're basically selling your vote to the president to support you. You should be going to your constituents in what? In Texas to say, vote for me. Why would they want to vote for you when you're begging for President Trump's support and you were basically what? You're bribing him. You're trying to extort him out of that vote for what? The SAVE Act. Jesus Christ, don't tell me you're not a hypocrite and opportunist. These people make me sick. John Cornyn is done. If you think he's not, when President Trump says a day or two before with Paxton, it's game over. I can't imagine President Trump saying, yeah, John, I'm going to throw my arms around you, you weak piece of shit, when you're trying to extort me out as a vote. Vote for me, and I'll vote for that. Like, you could trust these people, like you could trust Thune, Marshall.
Yeah, they pull this shit. And I just like Thune with his whole thing. And he's dragged this thing out the way he has.
Right.
And this Boebert, she's just another, I mean, look, man, bimbo. All right.
Yeah.
She's just like MTG. You know, I mean, in many ways, many ways, they're in it for the money. They're in it for this. They're in it for that. They're in it for all the wrong reasons.
Right.
All of them. All
Absolutely.
These rhinos.
Right.
So
Everybody's like, Representative Anna Polino, she's great. She's fantastic. Yeah, she made a huge faux pas over the weekend, suggesting that or putting out the idea in some way that the CIA raided D&I Gabbard's office and took all these documents was not true. And saying they have a certain amount of time. And what was she doing? Is she doing it for herself and making things even more uncomfortable for Gabbard and the CIA? Who was she doing it for? Was she forced to do it? Why did you say that? And then you had to recant your words? Shut the fuck up. Seriously.
Put it out there for a reason.
Fucking Israel. Please spare me your bullshit and your spare me your. Oh well, I'm at the leading forefront of making sure all the UFO UAP stuff come out. Come on, stop. Just come on, okay? Come on. Do you think people in your district really give a fuck about that?
She's there to prevent it from coming out. She's a gatekeeper.
You bet your ass she is.
I know we'll get into it later. I'm going to talk about that.
Yeah, Rudy Poo. I'm voting for Mark Lynch in South Carolina. That is the actual candidate that's going against Lady Graham. You should too. And I believe Lady Graham's going to lose, as he should. As he should. He's a warmonger. He should lose. So here is Slay News. DOJ establishes $1.7 billion fund to compensate victims of weaponization and lawfare. This is part of our conversation tonight. The DOJ announced Sunday it's creating a $1.7 billion anti-weaponization fund aimed at compensating Americans, who were targeted politically, motivated government abuse and lawfare. The unprecedented move comes as President Trump agreed to dismiss a lawsuit against the IRS tied to the leaking of his confidential tax returns by a former government contractor. According to the DOJ, the settlement will not provide direct financial compensation to the president and his sons or the Trump organization. See, there's no problem with that. That's good. He's not embezzling. He's not taking money. In fact, what he's doing is that the DOJ, the settlement, will not provide direct financial compensation to the president, his sons, or the organization. Instead, the government will issue a formal apology while establishing new compensation systems for future victims of alleged government weaponization. Now, the key is future. What about past? What about January 6th people? What about those people? What about all the people that were swept up, okay? What about those people? So we're not going to compensate them? I have a problem with that, but I digress. Trump IRS case sparks massive DOJ response to the underlying lawsuit. Trump v. Internal Revenue Service accused the IRS Treasury Department of failing to protect President Trump's private tax information. This is part of the also, I think, whittling down, needling down, and let's just say breaking down, deconstructing, I think that's the better term, of the IRS. This is part of the system, which is related to the Federal Reserve, that is all connected to, and you're starting to see how this is being slowly maneuvered out. The contractor later pleaded guilty to unauthorized disclosure of tax return information. Think about how much power they have over you. And what the legislation and the lawsuit will now be will be able to follow the precedent of all this stuff will be what? That they no longer can have this idea, all right, that they can go along and do certain things for political opportunities or for, I don't know, let's just say political motives that they did for incoming other presidents or anybody else that are running for office in some way. They can't use this as a political tactic, as they did in Obama's days and then what we're seeing right now. So the precedent that is being set is the litigation that the DOJ has basically set up. The Trump legal team reached a settlement with the government that now appears poised to create one of the most sweeping anti-government abuse initiatives. There you go. So they can no longer act in this manner. The machinery of government should never be weaponized against America. This was part of what President Trump promised. This is what we're getting. And this acting attorney general is basically making good on it. And this department's intention to make right the wrongs that were previously done while ensuring this never happens again, Blanche said. As part of the settlement, we are setting up lawful process for victims of lawfare, $1.7 billion fund to hear claims from alleged victims. The DOJ documents released Sunday show that within 60 days, the federal government plans to transfer $1.7 billion into a Treasury managed account dedicated exclusively to the new anti-weaponization fund. So apparently, if the IRS has gone after you people at the present moment and in the future, that this type of amount of money will be used to fight the IRS in a lot of different ways. Officials say the fund will be empowered to review claims, issue formal apologies, potentially award monetary compensation to Americans who argue they were unfairly targeted by the political motivated government actions. So far, however, the DOJ has released few details about this. The Trump family will not receive financial payout at all. The new fund can have massive political implications. It's likely to intensify the national debate surrounding allegations that federal agencies were weaponized. There you go. And this is the point. When you get to this level, this is going to be one of the agencies in some way that is going to slowly disappear. It's going to walk into the fold and you're never going to see it anymore. Yes, I believe so. Because as the Federal Reserve goes, so does the IRS. No more of this stuff anymore, where we have this ability to weaponize power against the American electorate, all right, that basically all they do is shit, live and die and pay taxes for what? And then get harassed. We don't pay more. The creation of formal government-backed compensation process appears to be marked a dramatic acknowledgement, at least to some forms of abuse may have occurred. The fund could also open the door for future claims for Americans who believe that they were unfairly targeted by political motivated investigations, prosecution, surveillance, financial pressure, or regulatory actions. That is fantastic. All right, what president? So you want to attack President Trump? What president in the history of this country since this fucking agency in 1917 was shuttled in, all right, has done anything to protect us from this? And using that amount of money that the lawsuit will be dropped to help prevent further actions that are malevolent against what? You, the American citizenry, you, the taxpayer. And I believe this is going to lead to the eventual fallout of the IRS, because as the IRS is going to be downsized, deconstructed, and let's just say torn apart in some way, we're going to start to see the Federal Reserve simultaneously walk into the similar manner, and they will be absorbed into the Treasury in ways that you have never seen before. And I think and there'll be more benefit. And even if they're operational to a lesser or degree, they'll be operational under the directorate and the directive of the Treasury Department, and not an independent body that has no Federal Reserve at all, federal anything. And I think that's where we're going with this, Marshall.
Yeah, I think it's going to end up being more of a service for the people, as in finding money that they've lost.
Recovering money they've lost.
Yeah, that the people have lost, that has been hidden in a way that helps the people instead of taking away from the people. And I really do see that if it's around at all, and if it's not, then the Treasury will be doing that. Because there's so much money that people, the older you are, there's more money that's sitting around that's hidden that they don't know about, that's going to be theirs, that belongs to them.
Right.
You know, like what is it? The death tax, where their property is taken away basically, unless you pay all this tax to keep it in the family. Anyway, yeah, go ahead, man.
All right, so Todd Blanche puts this out with Maria. I'm just going to play it briefly, and then we're going to move on. I mean, if you don't think anything is happening here, he's saying that this is happening. He's saying, look, he said he dropped a massive bombshell that they're uncovering incredibly troubling things about the deep state that did to President Trump. It's all leading to, and it's all, let's just say, crescendoing to a point where when we get the actual information about the 2020 stolen election and what led to that, okay, because that's part of what led to that and why they acted upon that, that's when we're going to see all this stuff come out. And listen what she says here.
Some point at the right time that will be made public, and the American people will see exactly what happened to this administration and President Trump over the past decade.
No, I mean, the country was ripped apart. We all know that. Half of the country said he colluded with Russia. The other half said, no, it didn't. I mean, it ripped the country apart. But you say when the time is right. When is the time right? When should we expect these charges of conspiracy?
Well, I mean, look, as has been publicly reported, the Southern District of Florida has an open criminal investigation. That involves hundreds of subpoenas. It involves hundreds of witnesses. And so as far as timing and when we can expect it, we are working hard and we are working efficiently, but we are going to do it right. We are not going to rush something that isn't ready. We're not going to reach a conclusion before our investigation is over. But I assure you, and I assure the American people, that we are completely focused on it.
Okay. Well, I don't know what is not ready. I mean, we've been watching this play out for a long time, and viewers and people watching are frustrated because it just keeps happening. Weaponization keeps happening because it's not corrected the time before. Now,
all right. So, I mean, I understand what she's saying. She's like, look, this has been, a 10-year scenario that's been going on for a long time. When's this going to happen? Well, I mean, I think what we're going to gather to receive is all going to be included into the indictments that are happening in either Fort Pierce and Miami, what's going to happen with the Comey case. And then when all that stuff is broken and is released or comes out as admitted discussions, we'll also get that to move into the 2020 stolen election. Because all the Russia Stokes, all the other stuff, all the stuff that led up to build this narrative, as we are hearing, that there are people that still believe, that Trump colluded with Russia to get into this in some way. But no one believes that, the second time around. They don't even believe it the first time around. That's the power of the media. They sold that. And all those people are all going bye-bye because they're all part of the grift. They're all part of the graft. All right. And those who sold that seditious lie will pay a price, as we're seeing. Many of them are just disappearing into the background, as you notice, Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty insane what they're doing. I really don't have a whole lot more to add on what you just said, because you're exactly right. I mean, it's pathetic. it's all coming to an end, Brett. That's what I see it. And that's why I look at Trump and the way he acts. He acts like, he's playing games with his Twitter, his TikTok account with these videos. I mean, it's like, I know you're going to show some later about the
UFO.
I'm
going to move forward right now.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
CNN was just forced to report Donald Trump has a 95% GOP primary win record, and he's forced Bill Cassidy into the worst performance of a sitting senator in 80 years. In 80 years. Do you understand that? Trump's approval rating with GOP, 83%. More than Obama with the Dems. More than Bush with Republicans. The power of Trump endorsement is still sky high, and you have to understand where that's going with Cornyn or Paxson.
Bill Cassidy, he got 25% of the vote, okay? I went back and I looked at every single non-appointed senator. This, in my mind, was the worst primary showing ever, at least since the end of World War II. That is how badly Bill Cassidy did. He did worse than every single one, getting 25% of the vote for a senator in a primary. It's literally unheard
as an incumbent.
That is because, of course, Donald Trump.
I don't think people realize this.
Against this guy.
Look, if you can find a different case, Jerry looked at every single one and thinks it's the worst. Send us,
send it.
Yeah, tweet us. Tweet us. If is Twitter still a thing? I don't know.
You're Xing us, I guess.
In any case.
I think the point is that people, I gotta fast track, and I'm talking too much. I gotta move on because there's so much other things. All right, let's see. I'm gonna move forward with this. All right, so they're putting this out. This is all the stuff that's going out. We're just going to get into it real quickly. People are talking about this. They're trying to utilize this and discuss this in so many ways. Gas prices up 56% in the USA. All right, U.S. gas prices gone up more than since the country bombed Iran in late February and March. I reported an average price of gas in the country had gone up from $2.89 to $3.48, and now the average price of gas in the U.S. is 4.517. That's a 56% increase. I'm paying over $5. This is clearly adding excess to the cost of budget-strapped households. And every day or so, there is chatter about potential solutions to the war and Iran Strait of Hormuz blockades. However, we are yet to see real solutions to get past the crisis. In a report a couple days ago, the New York Times wrote, hopes for an end to the war in Iran faded after President Trump failed to secure a commitment from China to help persuade Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. That is completely not true. All right? China has promised to buy oil from us. That's how you bypass them. And if you understand who Iran is and what they are representational of, you'll understand that there's a reason why the stall tactics are happening and the strategic patience on the other end is working. There's a reason why. 2 months ago, I wrote an article exploring rising gas prices. They had gone up, averaging in the United States, 2.89 a gallon. Right before the U.S. bombed Iran, 3.8. All right. That's not because of us. That's not because of President Trump. That's because of the cartel. That's because of who they are. The speculators, oil and gas industry, all of them that are making profits through their nose, left and right, out their ass. It's not that. So anytime there's some type of situation that happens, that these prices just go off the rails, you are seeing that. You are seeing that for a reason. And this is the point. How do you fix that? You make sure that this scenario never happens again. And the reality is they buy gas and oil from us. And so we don't have this problem anymore. And then we will control the level of speculation, of future betting. Did you understand there was a report that came out just recently about the Iran war that somehow many people, not necessarily tied to the administration or what have you, were betting on the futures on oil and the $700 million of winnings that were going on? Now, they can't tie it to insider trading because there's not one person that they can tie it to. But that's all speculation. That's my point. All people are doing is hedging their bets and betting for futures, all right? And then when they see something that's an impasse, they short it, and so there you go. So all we know is it's bad, but how bad is it historically? The 2026 Iran war, including the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, has led to what International Energy Agency has characterized as the largest supply disruption in the history of global oil market. I'll leave it at that. Now, there's a reason why. All right. Yes, we have a blockade on it. We know there's a glut on this in some way, but it's not because of us. President Trump has suggested even if they even got close to having a nuclear weapon or some type of scenario where we could bypass the conventional weapons as we have to a lesser degree and not, let's just say, expend all our weaponry or what have you. We would still have to get to the ideas that they would threaten Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and even Israel. That's the point. And these three countries right now are summarily working through a deal. What's the deal going to be like? Whoever they're talking to behind the scenes, all right, they have no choice, all right? Give up the current nuclear material. That's what it is. They're being forced to hold on to it because we could trace it back to the United States. Who gave it to them? Who gave it to Venezuela? I'm sure we'll know about that very soon. The other thing is this. They'll have to make a deal in some way that they'll be able to what? Have a free-flowing distribution and not be what? A protection racket where they're making money on extortion. That's it. That's where so much wealth is going in and out of that country. You're paying to what? Pass the Strait of Hormuz when it should be free and open. I think people have a problem. Remember back in the 70s and the 60s with the Italians, the mob, the Russians, the Germans, all these people, what? They would pay for protection so other groups of people wouldn't what? Rob them, destroy their facilities. And so that protection racket would protect them from their business going under, but they would have to pay 20% of what they earn. In this type of scenario of an extortion, this is beyond blackmail. So let me continue on because I got more of this. So I think there's more about this, but I think people are just still not recognizing what's going on and what President Trump is trying to do. Here's another discussion that came out. Americans are leaving the U.S. in record numbers and spending hundreds to learn how to do it. So they're trying to leave the United States. Good riddance. Have fun in Dubai. Have fun in all these countries. See if you think that your life is going to be better, all right? Because you're a principled American and you think that your citizenry is going to carry weight somewhere else in a third world shithole world. All right. Go to Europe. Have fun with that. All right. You have no freedom of speech, no freedom of religion. And you know what? You can't own a gun. Last weekend, Jesse Dar and his wife, Jess Yastate, made a 5-hour drive from their home from Phoenix to Hard Rock Hotel in San Diego. On the agenda for the weekend, he learned how to move to Mexico. Yeah, good luck with that. Have fun in that country. Dar 41 and Yas State 45 were among hundreds of Americans in San Diego last week who dream of starting a new life abroad. A record number of Americans are leaving the U.S. The country saw at a net negative migration of between 10,000 and 295,000 people in 2025, according to the research Brookings Institute. The widest estimate range was among the people left voluntarily. Are those citizens or non-citizens? See, we don't get to break that down. With the Brookings estimated that between 210 to 405,000 people did last year. In the first time in 50 years that more people moved out of the country than moved in. Well, that's great. Are they citizens or not? Brookings said some U.S. citizens are emigrating for school, work, raising family, retirement, and everything in between. Expatsy, a company that offers relocation tours for Americans, is becoming sought-after resource. Yes, there are people that live in China and Australia and all these other places abroad and stuff. Have fun. Have fun. The company launched in 2022, held a second annual Move Abroad Con in San Diego, May 9th and 10th. Some 600 Americans from around the country attended, double at the number of people at the inaugural event and held in May in 2025. Ex-Patsy co-founder Jen Barnett tells that a majority of 89% said they want to leave the U.S. for political reasons. Good. So they're most likely libertarians, Democrats, people who don't like President Trump, people who don't like you and I. I say good riddance. I say good riddance. Don't come back. Marco Rubio should revoke your citizenship when you're out the door and we kick you out. When you want to leave voluntarily, don't come back. Don't come back. I'm sure there are places in Somalia you want to live. West Africa, Nigeria. No, you don't want to go there. But have fun. Have fun, I say. Good riddance. We don't want you here anyway. So the less dingbats that we have living in this country, the better it is for all of us, Marshall. I just wanted to show you that because they want to proliferate. They want to push that and throw that in your face and stuff. It's all Donald Trump's fault. It's all our fault in some way. Good. I'm glad we made your lifestyle and your viability living here so goddamn uncomfortable because what we've been dealing with for the last 10 fucking years or longer before Trump came along was a holy hell. So you don't want to see the idea that God is now and Jesus Christ and we're having this revival, this whole religious revival and all these other great things that are happening. But you're saying you can't afford to live here? No, it's political. That's always what it is. Good. Go get your transformer kid over there at another third world country. Go have fun. Go have fun. No one wants you here. We want you out. As many people that want to leave the country, please do so. But you know what? You should get your stamp. You're not checking out. I mean, you're not checking back in. You're not coming back. We don't want you. Once you go, you can never come back.
Yeah, and Mexico's an easy one. At least for me it was, but it was difficult for me. And I tell you what, when they get down there and they start living on a permanent basis, it ain't like going to Acapulco on vacation.
Yeah.
They are in for a rude awakening, Brett, especially if you're a woman.
Yep.
It's even harder. You want some medical care? Good luck with that one. Yeah, you can get shit out of the pharmacia right off the bat without a prescription. That's a good thing. But the rest of it? Oh, geez. You go downtown, Brett, you got a list of 6 things you got to do. You might get 2 things done in a whole day. So good luck and good riddance.
Yeah, that's what I say. What's up, Thea? Thank you for the 700 gold pills. What's up, 23 and 9? How you been? I haven't seen you in ages. Miss this energy, brother. Yeah, I missed you. How you been? What's going on? Who else is here tonight? I mean, I've seen a lot of people in there just hooking. I heard see PC Native. What's going on? Gas prices still not as high as Biden administration. You're correct to a certain level, but I am paying a lot. I am paying over 5 and change here right now in Tampa. Yeah, I am. And
we're down to
traveling. Yeah, I mean, the point is that we are paying. And then when I traveled up to St. Augustine, it dropped a little bit depending on what it is. But realistically, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and cry about it. It is what it is. I want this Iran thing solved. I want to make sure we're an economic powerhouse. I want to make sure that we never have to go through this stuff again. Okay? Not in my lifetime, not in your kid's lifetime, that we control every facet. And you know what? This idea that when Trump came back and like this whole Taiwan thing, I told you, Taiwan is going to be taken over by China. Russia's going to have control of Ukraine. We're going to take what? Mexico, Cuba, Greenland. It's all coming down the pike. You got to see it to happen. There is a redistribution of land wealth and land grabs that are taking place. Get on board. I said it. When it happens, Greenland's back in this thing right now. You have the secretary, you have an ambassador of Greenland that's going over there trying to smooth things out and probably telling him, get your ducks in a row. It's going to happen. Because if you don't, we're going to make sure we financially cut you and bleed you. That's what's going to happen. But what they do is they don't carrot and stick them. What they do is they offer them so much that it's hard for them to refuse. Because they think their independence and viability that they never had from what? The Netherlands? What is it? Is it the Netherlands? Copenhagen? It's not from the Dutch countries that were helping them. I mean, honestly, you could set up shop there and make their lives wealthy. Don't those people want to live, or they just want to live in huts, okay? They want to live so destitute and poor, no roads, not enough abundance, not enough of what? They just want to live that way? Okay. But I'm sure there are some people that want more.
And so they try to theory on the chips over there in Taiwan, Brett.
Well, exactly. I mean, the whole thing is
we can make our own damn
chips. We're going to make our own chips over here anyway. This whole deal is that they're going to set up shop over here and whatever they're going to take over. Who cares? The crowd in Kansas City just went absolutely ballistic when J.D. Vance made the direct call to Senate Republicans pass the damn SAVE Act. Here it is.
congressional Republican leadership because you agree with everything Republicans do in Congress. I get frustrated with them from time to time. By the way, pass the SAVE Act. That's something they need to do.
Everybody wants it. Everybody's feeling it. And it's just a matter of time. The closer we get to the election, it's probably going to be around September
But
that you're going to see it.
I'm not going to tell you I'm right about everything, except maybe I am. But I'm not. You're going to disagree with me from time to time. Of course you are. You're going to disagree with the President of the United States from time to time. That is the nature of living in a society with as big and diverse a population as we have. So I'm not asking you to vote for Republicans because we're right about everything. I'm asking you to vote for Republicans because at least we know who we fight for, and we fight for you.
That's a good point. Another great, eloquent speech promoting and touting the SAVE Act, which I believe that they're waiting after the August recess. When they come back in September, before October, they'll pass the SAVE Act. I believe so. That's my belief, and I think they're slow walking this. And they're waiting to see how the numbers are with the primaries and where things are with incumbents and other people. And when they start to really get really antsy, then the pressure, the screws will come in. Thank you, Darla, for the cookie. Wasn't Ellen addicted to human meat? Notorious. Ellen degenerate? I don't know. Was she? She probably was. 23 and on. Thank you for the shades. Nice haircut. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Trump one, thank you for the cookie. Hello, Feathers. Sean Joe, what's up, man? Thank you for the cookie. Good to see you. Let me continue on. All right, I got to move into other stuff. Okay, here's other things that we're going to talk about. I got to fast track this now. Eric Daugherty puts this out. I think this is important. Elon Musk drops the bombshell. This is part of the January 6th discussion that we're having, that the FBI implanted 26 people into January 6th to spy for them. And the government lied to us that this never happened. 4 entered the Capitol during the riot. An additional 13 entered the restricted area around the Capitol. So more than a dozen FBI spies participated in the so-called insurrection. This is all breaking about that. This is good stuff. I'm not going to play all of it.
Waiting for what actually happened on January 6th. The FBI had 26 confidential human sources there that day. 26. A confidential human source is a guy the FBI pays to spy for them. Of the 26 confidential human sources who were in D.C. on Jan 6th, 4 entered the Capitol during the riot. An additional 13 entered the restricted area around the Capitol. So more than a dozen FBI spies participated in the so-called insurrection. A bunch of them broke into the Capitol. Their own inspector general says this is what happened. But that's not what they told you when they testified under oath.
Those who were there in an undercover capacity on January 6th, how many were there?
Again, I'm not sure that I can give you that number as I sit here. I'm not sure there were undercover agents on scene.
I thought I heard you say you didn't know whether there were FBI agents or informants or human sources in the Capitol or in the vicinity on January 6th. Did I misunderstand you? I thought that's what you said.
Well, I referred very specifically to undercover agents.
Yeah. And so are you acknowledging then there were undercover agents?
As I sit here right now, I do not believe there were undercover agents on scene.
The inspector was hiding something, so Congress asked.
Right then and there, he lied, Director Ray. And then I think people realized that in some way. He wasn't hiding. He was covering up the fact that he knew about this in some way. Whether he was a part of allowing this to happen and he was allowed to leave breadcrumbs away for the burn bags to be uncovered in some way. We don't know what Director Ray's part of all this was in there. We don't know. All right. But it does look bad in some way. Unless he was forced to play a part, and that part was to what? Facilitate this acting role to say, I'm not really sure. I don't really have this information. For the other guy to come in to pick this up, knowing full well this is going to happen with all the transparency that was left behind the scenes for the breadcrumbs, it's quite possible that's where we are at this moment. Let's continue.
The question a different way. Listen.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol.
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision not to share information.
Director Ray,
confidential.
Gentleman's time.
Ray's right. The FBI didn't have undercover agents at January 6th. They had confidential human sources.
There you
so
go.
What's the difference?
Semantics.
Well, a confidential human source doesn't get health insurance or a pension. They're just freelancing for the feds.
They're contractors
Rats
like
in
Ray
MAGA
Epps.
hats. They're basically paid informants that the FBI runs at headquarters. A lot of these FBI rats get picked up on some other charge. They get sat down and the FBI says, you're going to work for me now. And if you don't, you're looking at 20 years to life. So these guys say, yes, sir. And they cozy up to people like the Proud Boys and anyone the feds wants to watch and control from the inside. And these confidential human sources are under pressure to deliver. What does deliver mean? It means intelligence and big busts that get the FBI good headlines. According to the Inspector General report, the spies were feeding the FBI intel that said January 6th was going to get a little hairy. But FBI headquarters did nothing about it and then lied to Congress and said they did. So why did headquarters let January 6th get so out of hand? And what were all these FBI spies doing that day and the days before? Were they riling everyone up like they did in the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot? In that case, the FBI informants instigated the plot. They even used an FBI credit card to buy the ammo, supplies, and hotel rooms.
Wow.
Did the FBI pay for Jan 6 hotel rooms? We don't know. Remember, the media and the Democrats said this whole thing was a conspiracy.
Where do you think this idea comes from, that this was somehow done by the feds?
I heard that one of the debaters said it was an inside job. It's an inside job on the part of Donald Trump and his henchmen.
Republicans have blamed the FBI and said it was an inside job.
It certainly was not an inside job by FBI agents or Antifa. They go around blaming it on Antifa and FBI agents.
Well, how did the media know it wasn't an inside job when the FBI had 26 of their people on the inside? January 6th certainly benefited the media, the FBI and the Democrats. 1,500 arrests, humiliated Trump, got him impeached, criminalized the MAGA movement. Trump got indicted over January 6th, remember? They tried to throw him in prison over this. The January 6th committee, it's all Democrats did for 2 years. Why didn't the committee find any of these snitches? They did a one-sided investigation and teed up Garland to charge Trump so they could run against a convicted felon. So the media is going to apologize, right? No. The media today is cherry-picking the report to say there were no undercover agents there on January 6th. The whole thing's a conspiracy. These aren't articles. They're FBI press releases. And they wonder why their ratings are trash and no one trusts them. It's because of...
All right. I think you get the point. I don't want to belabor it. I think that's going to go on and on and on. But I think what you understand is that the whole thing was set up from the get-go. This is part of the whole thing. Anybody that was touting this whole thing that January 6th was that wasn't a Fed insurrection, which it was, and anybody that was pushing against the narrative is all gone. Look at a lot of these Democrats. They're all going by the wayside. Nancy Pelosi's gone after this year. A lot of these people are disappearing. They're gone into the fold. All right, into the ether. All right, so it doesn't matter anymore whether they're being primaried out or they're not, let's just say, coming back for re-election. They're just dipping out. It doesn't matter anymore. I think what you need to understand is that how do we get to this point? Yes, C before D. I think that's where we're going with this in some way. I think we're going to see this. This is leading up to this. What will we find out? Now, remember, January 6th happened after the stolen election. So the question is, we'll have to see all the information about what led up to the stolen election. How did the stolen election actually happen? How many states were involved in this? How many governors? How many other people? And then how many people behind the scenes knew during this time, during January 6th, that President Trump was going to be there, and all these people that this thing was set up from the get-go? Who organized it? Who made sure that this was facilitated out? Was Nancy Pelosi involved? As we're hearing, she was responsible. She gave the stand-down order, which we were told she overrode President Trump, saying, no, I control the Capitol. We don't need the National Guard. All this stuff. How much of these people were in full, let's just say, knowledge of what was going to take place? The pipe bomber and all these other things. We hear about the pipe bomber right now. His lawyers are saying, wait a minute, I should get pardoned. I didn't do this. In some way, I've been set up. I don't think they got the right guy. I think there's other serious questions that are happening. And again, this is leading up to the election of 2026. Yes, it is. Everything is hitting a benchmark, a crescendo. It's all building to this because you're going to see this, all right, before we have that election. And this is going to change everything thereafter, Marshall.
Yeah, it's apparent that this is all timed. The timing is just set just right. The chickens are coming home to roost. That fake cop with the goatee in the very beginning with the tattoos everywhere.
Guy. Yeah,
he's not even a cop. He wasn't even. No, he's an operative for the FBI.
Yeah.
Or for the deep state.
He
really.
actually was an undercover agent for the FBI, pretending to be a Capitol police officer, which people don't realize. Yeah.
Got tattoos all over his arm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is all coming home. And I believe that it was held out. It was held back and left for this time right now.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about
everything.
it.
Just like everything.
Yeah, and so that's the whole point. This is leading to what? To force the Senate to pass the SAVE Act. The House has already done it. It's leading that. When you have the weight of the evidence, none of these people, okay, I don't even know if you're going to get Democrats, but they're going to be people forced to what? Pass this, whether it's by party lines or get some people to switch if they want to save their asses. Thank you, Trump won for the cookie. Senor Polo for the cookie. Another government exposure. Now what? Will we get any arrests? I think we're leading to this stuff. All this stuff is really about, Senor Polo, about making sure the SAVE Act gets passed, and then from that, the accountability will happen, will fall with it. It'll be intertwined with the 2026 election, or it'll happen right before it. I think that the current indictments that are taking place and the convictions that will come out will also be a chain event with other things and the declassifications for the evidence about what led up to this, that Brennan, Comey, Obama, we might even see all this stuff being entrapped leading up to the November elections of what Obama did as a setup for this in some way for the election to be stolen. There's so many layers of all this stuff that has to be, let's just say, put out there. And there's just so much information that the NPCs, the normies are going to have to digest about this. So you have to put it in certain intervals. You can't just put it in one giant package and say, here you go, ingest this. It's not going to work that way. Darla gifted the cookie. They all perjured themselves, every last one of them. They absolutely did. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Comments, questions, concerns. You want to help us out on Rumble, you can do it with the Rumble Rant as Stun is. buymeacoffee.com/wearerise, or you can help out Marshall. Donate to ko-fi.com/surfdog74. All right, let's move on. I'm running out of time. All right, I got to get to Massey and a couple other things. All right, so the FBI is offering a $200,000 reward for information leading to the apprehension and prosecution of Monica Wynn, a former U.S. service member, counterintelligence agent accused of spying for Iran. This is a big thing. She intentionally provided information endangering U.S. personnel and their families stationed abroad and conducted research on behalf of the Iranian regime to allow them to target her former colleagues in the U.S. government. Not just them. She was also involved in what?
Monica Witt. The FBI has set a reward of $200,000 for information leading to the arrest or whereabouts of Monica Witt.
Well, think about all the bases and knowledge that she might have regarding all the bases overseas in Saudi Arabia, the United Emirates, Qatar, all these different places in some ways. Think about what her level impact is. I mean, she's a treasonous, treacherous traitor. Is this part of the deal? Are we going to get her back? She fled to Iran. Was she working in concert with them to give them tactical advantages? If she is, President Trump wants that back. We're just not hearing about it. We're just hearing about a $200,000 reward. All right, let me fast track this because I guess I'm just going to push this out because it's part of the show. Iran's never clock. I'll explain it real quickly, and then I'll just give you this one article. So we were going to hit Iran tomorrow. Really hard, as according to President Trump was saying. Now this is on pause, okay, again, because of what's happening right now. He's pausing the plan to attack Iran because Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar are working out deals behind the scenes. He said Monday he planned to attack Iran tomorrow, but was holding off to give negotiations another chance. Whether you believe it or not, is it subterfuge? Is it just another agitprop? Is this part of the asymmetrical war that's uneven and unbalanced? We don't know. Either way, that's what's being thrown out there. The White House has now updated the peace proposal. Iran said on Sunday's insufficient, leading to the growing expectation, including inside the White House. The Trump was right about the strike. He has extended the deadlines, postponed planned attacks on Iran at least a half a dozen times. Trump was expected to convene his top national security team today in the sit room on Tuesday to discuss military options, but a senior U.S. official told Axios on Monday that Iran didn't shift its position. The U.S. would have to continue negotiation. What he's saying, I've been asked by the Emir of Qatar, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, and the President of the United Emirates to hold off our planned military attack of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which was scheduled for tomorrow. Trump wrote on Truth Social. Let me just say this, get Marshall's thoughts, and I'll end this. So for decades long, because of decades long cycle of proxy wars, you have to consider what this is taking place to understand the ideological standoffs, nuclear brinksmanship, and failed diplomacy that was structurally designed. All right, keep that in mind, to simmer indefinitely rather than to resolve cleanly or outright. It's a multi-layered asymmetric contest, all right, that is taking place between Iran, Israel, U.S., and the Gulf states. That is happening now, all right, that keeps ticking through escalations. You understand that? Keeps ticking through the escalations. That's the tick-tock. Ceasefires, stalemates, whatever. Just like today, May 2026 in the sit rep, all right, there's no difference between the past times and now. What it is that we're just getting a full blast of it right in our face. It is the soft underbelly of all this theater. That's the agitprop, the propaganda, where we push, they push back. We have some stalemate, ceasefire, and then it just continues on and on. No more. So if no one wins outright, I'm not saying that, without unacceptable costs, we're going to win no matter what. We are winning with a full invasion or an economic ruin. It reverts back into the shadow war proxy mode style. We can't let that happen. That's the point. Trump keeps saying that over and over again. We cannot let them have a nuclear material dust. We want that back. We can't let them have any of this stuff. So the clock keeps ticking, tick-tock, because the underlying pursuits of ideology, proxies, nukes, nuclear dust that compete and total that are complete and total distrust and mistrust has not been resolved yet. The only compromise, the middle ground, the trade-off that can be made, listen to this, are the ones that no side should or even be willing to make. This is the way for now. Understand what that means. Until then, expect escalation, de-escalation to intensify or de-intensify. That may lead to the end of the Iran war, or may lead to something else. We don't know where that's going, but the perception management, the targeted comms to guide narratives, to distract, influence behavior all over the place, there's something there that we're not seeing and understanding. Why is now these Gulf states intervening when they probably should have been there a long time ago, being part of this in some way? What had changed? What was it? Was it President Trump's trip to China when he said China's going to buy oil from us? I guarantee that's what changed the trajectory. Marshall, your thoughts as we move on.
That's what I said last week, that China is going to join. They said themselves when Trump was there last week that they do not, Xi Jinping, we do not want them to have nuclear weapons. We want the Strait of Hormuz open. And now Iran is sitting there going, what kind of a good way can we back out of it? Because I'm not really liking this now. And when you got China and the United States, China's using the three Arab countries, UAE and others. China's going through them. China's sitting back being quiet. He's letting them do the talking via their talks in the back on the back channel. So yeah, I mean, Iran's got no way out. All they've got to do is try to find an honorable.
Saudi Arabia, whatever. They're looking at this as like, look, China buys 90% of oil from the Middle East, 40% from Iran. And they're realizing if China starts to do deals with the United States from an energy level, those countries are going to pay a hefty price because of what Iran has done. So they're talking to Iran to make sure they course correct this before this becomes untenable and they go into financial ruin. That is the key. They suck up so much oil and resources, China. All right. We're not talking rare earth and all that other stuff. We're talking LNG and oil. All right. They don't have it. They buy it. And the idea in some way that we're going to get to this point that we'll have a controlling arm into this or interest in this hurts them. will basically undercuts them. We're taking away their protection status as being what? Blackmailers and extortionists. And we're also controlling now a new apparatus of being what? Someone who sells oil to the rest of the world, who's willing to make deals with other countries. Yes, I'm getting to it. MJ615. We're going to talk about Massey now. It's all about, we're going to get into Massey. Let's get in it. So, Donald Trumpo. Time to get rid of Massey. Bingo. We're talking about him right now.
Kentucky votes in what is now the most expensive primary race in history. Think about that. Trump-backed candidate Ed Gowrine's looking to oust the Congressman Thomas Massey.
We saw this. He's going
to mark the second big primary ouster for the president, depending on the outcome after that successful push on Cassidy over the weekend. Kentucky congressional candidate Ed Gowrine's with me now. And, sir, good morning to you. Thank you for saying yes to coming on. We're reaching out to Thomas Massey. We'll hope to get him on as well. What do you think's
Good morning, Bill. Greetings from Kentucky.
Yeah, thank you. What do you think's moving in northern Kentucky in that district?
Well, that's easy. These folks are moving to remove misrepresentative Massey from Congress. What I hear when I talk to the good people, these 21 counties out here in Kentucky, Congressional District 4, is they recognize he has gone to Washington, D.C. and betrayed them. He has blocked the president's attempt to unleash our economy, reduce taxes, build the border wall, restore national security. He even joined ranks with the radical Democrats to restrict the president's responsibilities as a commander-in-chief of what's going on in the Mideast now.
Yep.
At every turn, he has betrayed us. Nearly 85% of this district voted for President Trump in the 2024 primary. All that to say, he has been called misrepresentative Massey. Bill, thanks for the question.
Yep, and not to mention the fact is, and I'm going to continue on with this Massey story, all right, because I got more to go on this. The other point of this to understand is that he voted against ICE. He voted against ICE. That's not a good thing. Yes, he did. Him and Ro Khanna also continued to push war powers resolutions to limit the end, okay, because he says this is not America first. So these are the other things, all right? His libertarian doctrine doesn't fall into, let's just say, the legislative way or the political base of his representation that voted for President Trump. They're MAGA. He's not. Almost 25% of the time he votes with Democrats, especially if a bill that President Trump wants to get in there to get done. He single-handedly does everything he can to deep six it. There's more to this. Let me continue on because I'm going to fly through this, Marshall. All right, Vince Langman puts this out. Yes, and we're finding out how creepy Thomas Massey is. The creepy weirdo Thomas Massey chances of winning tomorrow have gone from 71% 10 days ago to 44%. And I think with the Cassidy loss, this is going to impact him big time. Because people are going to look at this and saying, you know what, I can vote against him, and I see a chance of voting for somebody else. We'll get into the AIPAC discussion. We'll get into other things. But if he loses tomorrow, it'll mark the biggest and fastest political collapse in the history. Here it is.
For GOP nominee, it has been falling considerably over the last 10 days, according to the cash prediction market. Look at this. It was 71% 10 days ago. Look where that number is now. It's 44%. So chances more likely than not, though it is very close, that Massey will, in fact, go down to defeat. But again, we're just going to have to wait and see the votes.
Yeah, it is close. Right now, I saw the tracking was 47.4. Polymarket put it out to about 43 and change for Massey. And Kalishi and other ones are putting out he's going to lose. But I think it's more incumbent to understand is that watching what happened with Cassidy is really going to impact Massey. It's going to directly impact Massey. Because people are like, you know what? Look what Cassidy did to Trump. And there are people that voted MAGA for Trump and saying, you know what? This guy doesn't represent me. He doesn't represent what I want. I voted for Trump. He doesn't even like Trump. He doesn't. But there's more to it. Let's continue on. Let me show you. Shadow Ezra puts this out because this is what's going out there. So all the people, all the woke left, the woke right, the the arbiters of trying to distract us and to attack us, to separate us, to divide us, using AIPAC and all this other stuff. So President Trump has released a last-minute video pleading with people of Kentucky to stand with his AIPAC-backed candidate over Thomas Massie. Trump says Thomas Massie is the worst congressman in history, not Lindsey Graham, not John Thune. Remember, this is a shadow of Ezra, not Mitch McConnell, not Nancy Pelosi, not Adam Schiff. Well, Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, all these people are done. These two right here are going to be hanging around 2026. Now, the question is about Thune. He's not up for re-election. He was re-elected in 2024. So the question about him is, what's he going to do? I think the pressure is going to be on him to pass the SAVE Act. As for Lindsey Graham, I don't see his chances winning. I really don't. I think there are too many people who don't trust him and stuff. But will President Trump campaign for him? I don't know. But I think his time is gone too. Because if he loses and then Cassidy loses, then obviously Graham has no shot. And I think that people are starting to move off of this, let's just say, soap opera. I hope you're going to put him out of business, Trump says. Listen to this.
I'm in the Oval Office, and we're in a fight against the worst congressman in the history of our country. His name is Thomas Massie. He's from Kentucky. I hope you're going to put him out of business tomorrow. He is so bad. Got an election coming up. He's running against a great guy, a great patriot, Ed Gilrain. He's fantastic. But forget that. Massie's the worst congressman in the history of our country, always voting against Republicans and good values. So get rid of Thomas Massie. I hope you.
Okay. Your thoughts, Marshall? We'll get into it and stuff. But you know that the discussion about the AIPAC thing, because he takes no money from it. But there's another discussion that's being out there. It's been inferred. It's been surmised. And there's a lot of conjecture floating around that Massey's been taking money from Iranians and Palestinian groups. My question is, why hasn't he or hasn't been charged for campaign finance violations or worse? If that is true, are we waiting to see after the fact?
Yeah, well, that's the question that would be asked right off the bat. If you're not taking money from AIPAC, who are you taking money from?
Right.
It's one devil or the other devil. I mean,
exactly. See, that's what they want to convince you. It's AIPAC is the worst out there. Well, if you're taking money from Iranians and Palestinians, well, you're no different from what they're doing to other people with this lobby. And I understand this lobby is problematic. But the idea is that, look, if you want to get somebody in there to vote with President Trump, to vote for what the Kentuckians, in their district want, that voted for President Trump, like the SAVE Act and other things, well, then, you know what? They need representation is there. I understand. Muriel Addison, okay? All right, I'm walking into an airplane, rejoining the most expensive congressional race in history. It is. It is because AIPAC is pushing money in there. The Republican Jewish Coalition, AIPAC, Muriel Addison, Paul Singer are all part of the Israeli lobby, and that's where all the money is coming from for my opponent, Ed Geller. It's true. It is. Massey told ABC News, George Stephanopoulos, and it will be a referendum on foreign policy whether Israel gets to dictate that by you. So where are you getting your money? Why isn't his money being disclosed? It's being intimated out there that his money is coming from other foreign groups, but we're not hearing who they are. And why is that? Why is there such cover for him? I'm one that haven't been able to bully, so they're putting up all the brunt they force onto me, Massey continued. But you can tell me ahead of the polls that they're desperate. That's why they're sending Secretary of War to my district tomorrow. That's why the president's losing sleep about this. That's why AIPAC is dumping another $3 million into my race this weekend. No, they just want you out. They just want you out in some way. But what if you're a controlled agent, a provocateur of certain foreign interests? Have we considered that? After months of beating around the bush, one reporter finally writes a true story about my race. A coalition of Israeli lobbyists and donors is spending tens of millions of dollars in a blatant attempt to buy the Kentucky congressional seat. Yes, it is true. They are supporting him at a higher level. But why don't we see who's supporting Massey? Why is it that we're not able to see? Why are we not able to see who? Why Ed Geller should be asking and demanding? Yeah, no problem. I'm taking this money. Top secret record, which Trump has said, which he's seen, but which he can't share with constituents. Who is Ed Geller? Why does he have a top secret record? That's another question. These are, like I said, these are some of the murky commentaries that are out there. The GOP mocked Biden for hiding in his basement during 2020 election against Trump, but Gallerin has followed the exact same playbook, let Israel lobby millions to campaign for him. He makes a fool of himself every time and opens his mouth. This is liberation information. They don't like Israel. They don't like AIPAC, and they're going to support Thomas Massie no matter what. But I want you to see this. Ken Klipperstein puts this out. He's resetting the entire global power structure. So let him work through that, and that will reset the conditions just like this. Massey is a genius MIT graduate who uses swing vote status in Congress brilliantly to push both parties to vote to release the Epstein files. All right, let me just say this in some way. All right, if he did that in some way, he did it to what? Cover his own tracks, because this guy, he's a problem. He's a deviant in himself, as I'm going to show you that we're going to play. But yes, you are starting to see what we're talking about and how people are looking at this. They're saying there's so much money that's coming into this Kentucky race from very different. It's problematic. It is problematic. I don't argue that in some way. There is a push to get Massey out. All right. And there is AIPAC money that's going in that. Is that a problem? Yeah. But the point being is that Thomas Massie has been a problem. If Ed Galleron's going to come in to actually be a vote, not for the Democrats, but for the Republicans, to pass the agenda that President Trump needs and wants that you support, then why not? I mean, look, you have to pick and choose, the least resistant path and the best choices we have at the moment. There's no good option for anything. Thomas Massie is garbage, though. I don't care that he doesn't take AIPAC money. What I care is his voting record and how he likes to flint his nose at the Trump administration and basically at the Republicans. He's not a Republican. Yes, he's a libertarian fence sitter who votes with Democrats like 30% of the time. You can't trust him. Your thoughts?
The problem with all of this, and the bigger picture, is that they're taking these politicians, just like this guy, they're taking money from everyone but their constituents. You're not representing your constituents.
Bingo. That's right.
Take your money from American people. Stop selling out your constituents to all these fucking goddamn bastards everywhere. I mean, Saudi Arabia here. Who would have ever thought the founders have been like, oh, they're taking money from Saudi Arabia so they can run their state of Virginia or whatever? They'd be like, what the hell are you doing?
I mean, look, that's why the SAVE Act and other things are going to come into place. There's so much foreign interference with this PAC money. There's got to be something done. And it's not just from Israel. It's not. I mean, the fact is that you have money coming in everywhere. Russians gave the Biden administration millions of dollars. A mayor from Russia gave them millions of dollars. And that's okay. But no one talks about that. Ukrainian government gave them money. No one talks about that. All right, I continue on. I got more of the Massey stuff we're going to get into. Another Donald Trumpo on X. This is funny. Too soon? I think so.
You used to call me on my boner phone.
Used to call me on my hot phone. This is great.
Love.
Remember Trump did this on
Call
SNL?
me on my boner phone. Late night when you want to go meet another swingers couple to have sex with. You know I like that, baby. You used
honestly, and the fact is that we're hearing that he slept with Boebert. Then this guy's look at this guy.
Damn.
Who is this guy? Why is she sleeping with him? What is wrong with these people? It's disgusting in some way. After the wife died and stuff, all of a sudden he had a change, and he's got a Democrat. First, he had a mistress that was working with them. We don't know who these people are, and then he's now taking boner pills when he goes to the airport so they can touch his junk, and that he's a hard-on. What the fuck is going on with them? I mean, there's something really wrong with this guy. So MJ Truth puts out, this is a red flag. Randy Feinstein, Thomas Massie accuser, Cynthia West, randomly approached him last year wanting to discuss his sexual perversions. The story seems very odd. I got more of this from Laura Loomer.
She dated Massie. She spoke with you about Massie's alleged ties to Iran, and there was more. So take it away, sir.
Well, yeah, I was at the Republican Party of Florida's Freedom Forum last year, just a large gathering open to the public. And this woman came up to me named Cynthia West and said, can I talk to you about Thomas Massie? I said, sure. And she told me that they had been in a relationship after his wife died, that he'd engaged in some fairly creepy behavior. And that in the time that they were together, she got a clear sense that he was directly tied to Iranian interests. So, we've always known about his hatred of Israel and his anti-Semitism, but, she had this concern as well. And I passed those along as well. She was not interested in being public about her concerns at the time until about a week ago, where she came forward and shared details that I wasn't even aware of. Nothing that conflicted with what she told me on that day, but certainly a lot more information. And at that point, I felt it was okay for me to validate that she'd told me many of the same things 1 year earlier.
And there it goes further. Apparently, and correct me if I'm wrong, we had heard there's some sort of weird thing going on that she was dating Massey. He was, in the time she was dating him, by the way, she somehow achieved a job. She got a job in a congressional office.
Representative Sparks.
When they broke up, that job went away. But in the meantime, they broke up because he had some sort of weird sexual fetishes that he was asking her to do. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so she told me that he had helped her get a job with another congressman or congressperson, it was a woman, while they were dating. And then when they broke up, she claimed that he got her fired from that job. And I found that quite rich from someone who wants to go on and on and on about the Epstein files and sexual propriety and misconduct and women as victims. It turns out that those who talk about it the loudest usually practice it the least. But her charges are very real. And should he win tomorrow, I don't think he will, they will need to be investigated. She's claiming that he misused his congressional power to get her a job, and that when they broke up, and she claims they broke up because he was asking her to do creepy sex stuff, that he punished her by getting that job taken away. That is not okay. And again, for someone who has been so outspoken and so concerned supposedly about Jeffrey Epstein, I think it is quite rich.
Yeah,
when you really think about it, this is the clear understanding of what opportunism and hypocrisy are. I mean, it's not just he's rich. He was using his power in some way to project something that he was never about. He didn't care about those women with NDAs. He was a deviant himself, a pervert, and he was just trying to mask himself, to bathe himself, to cleanse himself in some way and say, hey, look, over there and not over here. I'm doing what I can to make sure that these women get justice in some way. Meanwhile, he's acting like this. And they all knew that was going on. And he also, apparently, there are discussions that he had a relationship with Lauren Boebert. Okay? And apparently there was text messages and all these other things that we're discussing, all this stuff. And that's why President Trump has now called for Lauren Boebert to be primary. And I will make sure of this in some way. She's defending Thomas Massey. On Saturday afternoon, Trump and True Social Post has called Boebert out, weak-minded, after Congressman traveled to Kentucky to campaign for him. Trump wrote Boebert was weak-minded. Interesting statement. And called for a Republican to step up and challenge her. Is anyone interested in running against weak-minded Lauren Boebert in Colorado's 4th District? You remember Lauren moved to the district when it became obvious that she couldn't win in her original congressional district, the 3rd. Carpetbagger, indeed. Boebert is campaigning for the worst Republican congressman in history of our country, Thomas Massey of the great Commonwealth of Kentucky. And anybody can be that dumb deserves for a good primary fight. And it's more about that. It's more about their relationship, and more about maybe that she doesn't want that coming out. Maybe because he's got blackmail on her. Maybe he's got something over her in some way. So it seems like this. Let's look at the Laura Loomer conversation. I don't like Laura Loomer at all. I mean, I'll be honest with you. But this is the whole thing that's breaking. Now, there's an argument saying that Laura Loomer, Randy Fine, all the agents of provocateur in which she is, that she works for Mossad, some group, are going out of their way, who don't get any money from Mossad, to take him down, where Ed Galerian and all this other AIPAC money is flowing in. It is absolutely true. I'm not going to deny that. It's quite true. But if we know where that money's flowing through, how is he raising his millions of dollars to combat if it's one of the highest or richest Kentucky district races in the history? So where is his money flowing through? Why are we seeing that information? That is what I'm shocked about, that no one is reporting about where his money's flowing through. So ex-girlfriend and former congressional staffer for Representative Sparks, this is Cynthia West, all right, tells me she started dating Congressman Massey on August 30th, 2024, just 2 months after his wife of 30 years passed away. Wow, he moved on that quickly. Miss West told me that while they were dating, Massey told her he had sex with Congresswoman Boebert. Wow. I mean, what is she thinking? Just weeks after her wife died before he met Miss West. In the interview, she told me Massey was very braggadocious about his sexual escapades with other women and that Miss West was at least the third woman he had sexual relations with within 2 months of his wife passing. I mean, you're bragging about that. Your wife just died. Oh, yeah, and I slept with a bunch of broads. I should feel better about that. What about your children? Don't you have any fucking sense, you fucking ghoul? It became more evident as to why Lauren Boebert traveled to Kentucky to campaign with Massey this weekend ahead of the election tomorrow, despite accusation that he's had inappropriate sexual contact with women like Cynthia West, who claims she lost her job as congressional staffer working for Massey's colleague. Let's listen.
Speaking to another woman before you're talking about romantically, right? So this is pretty fast because we're talking August 30th, and you said that he reached out to you a week before then. Right. So that would have been the third week of August, and his wife had only died a month and a half prior to that. How many women are we talking about that you at least know about that he had sexual relationships with in the immediate aftermath of his wife dying before you began your relationship 2 months after?
He didn't have an intimate relationship with the person that he had met from X. He had just talked to that person. I know there was an intimate relationship before me, though.
And do you know who that was with?
I know there's speculation. I just don't feel comfortable.
Did he ever tell you who it was with? Because I mean, if he told you who it was with, I mean, those are his words. Who did he say it was with?
A congresswoman.
Do we know who that congresswoman is?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the congresswoman?
Oh, it's Lauren
Boebert.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Why would he tell you that he had a sexual relationship with Congresswoman Boebert?
Honestly, he was proud of it. Like,
yeah, look at him.
When he's like, "Oh, it's the hottest woman in Congress," and I don't know.
How does something like that come up? I mean, did you ask him about his previous sexual
How does
partners?
the hottest woman in Congress want to sleep with that fucking ghoul? I mean, honestly, are you kidding me? He's got spiders on his head. Him and Rand Paul look like they were Siamese twins. Not separated at birth and deformed. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? And this guy prances around like his shit don't stink. Oh, I'm for the... See, that's why I told you. The whole thing with Epstein, the fucking NDAs, all those broads, it was all a show. Nothing. None of those people... They were involved. They were gaming the system. That's why I don't feel sad. Don't have all this stuff. That's why the Epstein thing is garbage. And now Massey, all right, who's basically brought disgrace onto everything about that because he's the one in Ro Khanna beating his chest and running with this in some way. And then you're braggadocious about sleeping with Lauren Boebert. She should be embarrassed. Weak-minded. That's why Trump called her weak-minded. Let's play this.
Or was he bragging about it? Like, how did he end up telling you that he had sexual relations with Lauren Boebert?
Honestly, it was kind of braggy, but he was just, it's hard to explain. Like I think we'll get into it more when we start talking about some of the things that made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. But I feel like, there's almost a tact that you would have when you're in a relationship with the person that you're with that was just kind of lacking there. Mm-hmm. So there was many situations where I felt uncomfortable, and it gets into way more.
Do you know when he had a sexual relationship with Congresswoman Boebert? Was this while he was married, or was this after his wife passed away?
It was after his wife passed away.
Do you know how long? Because, you said that there were at least 2 women before you.
Yeah.
And you started talking to him in the 3rd week of August. And then on August 30th, Labor Day weekend, is when you guys met and I guess started dating, you said. So
Yeah.
So, you know how long after his wife died he engaged in sexual relations? Was he dating Lauren Boebert?
I don't know. You would have to go and look because I know she left abruptly to go to her son's court hearing. And so I'm sure somebody could do some digging and try and calculate, but it's not something that I've really ever cared too much to look into.
But he told you about it.
Yeah.
But it was more of like a fling. It wasn't so much a relationship.
No.
Interesting.
I mean, that was not the impression I got. I don't want to, make a judgment based on the.
Well, no, I think it's important for people to know these things because you have Congresswoman Boebert campaigning for Thomas Massie, and now people understand that it's not just because she believes in his policies, but she apparently has had a sexual relationship with him, allegedly. You're saying that he told you this while you were dating?
That's what he told me, yeah.
That's what he told you?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't there, but that's what he told me.
Wow. Unbelievable. What a bunch of hypocrites and opportunists. He probably roofed her, 23 Anon says. That's funny.
I doubt it.
Bunch of skanks and drunks. Yeah, Trump won. I think Carthon was right. One big fishbowl party. Yeah, I see it now, dog. You say everybody's getting laid in D.C. Young, old, geriatric, dead for months. Yeah. I mean, that's where it is right now. And to me, I don't care that he has sexual relations with Congress people or what have you. I don't. He's not married. His wife's dead. You could look about how sketch that is after all this stuff. I don't know about his marriage, about his kids and stuff. If Lauren Boebert wants to sleep with him and it's consensual, there's no rape there. Well, you know what? Whatever. All right. But I'm just going to tell you the rampant hypocrisy. And this guy's bragging like he's like some fucking stud. Okay? Spare me. He's a goofball. Look at that fucking tool. If he's not in Congress, he's sitting in some fucking bathroom jerking off 24/7. Who is this guy? Is he married now? No, he's not married now. He's an embarrassment, Marshall.
Yeah, at this point, we may as well just get together and start a business called Capital Fans.
Yeah.
Because that's all this is.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I really pray and hope that this reaches the national media. I know it won't. We won't see this. We should. Because people need to know that you're being run by a bunch of sexual deviant freaks.
Mm-hmm.
And you're at home working your ass off. Your wife's taking care of the family while you're busting your ass. You come home and you get to find out this shit.
And you got to listen to fucking Thomas Massie tell you and your MAGA that, oh my God, you're pedophile protectors and stuff. Spare me that bullshit. All those fucking broads, they were all in on it. They all got paid. It was all a grift and a graft. Don't feel sorry for them. Probably part of them were part of what? The enterprise to what? Procure other girls to be a part of it. And they used this as cover. That's why Gloria Allred was there. You know about her and how she acts with controlling women and making money and trying to cajole money and blackmail and bribe and extort. Fuck her. Fuck them all. All right. Massey's just another piece of shit. I hope he loses and a massive. If you're from Kentucky, this should be played over and over again. I hope that people that are from Kentucky are spreading out all this information out there. Share this. This is a disgrace. He's an embarrassment. All right. And this whole idea, it's about AIPAC now pouring money in there. You should be asking and calling for his books of campaign finance to open up and say, where is your money coming from? It's being alluded that he's getting money from Palestinian groups and Iranians. That's not good. And if that's true, bye-bye. You're done. You are done. So here comes from Metro. Donald Trump walks with the alien and blows up targets from space in a bizarre post. Did anybody see these bizarre posts? The president of the United States of America is posting incomprehensible AI slop. It's not dirt slop. It's AI slop again. In a period lasting just under an hour and a quarter on Sunday afternoon, no fewer than 19 AI-generated posts that popped up on Donald Trump's Truth Social feed. They range from boasts about sinking Iranian warships to mocked-up photos defending controversial renovation of a reflecting pool. But perhaps the most eye-catching picture features Trump walking on military bases surrounded by men in sharp suits, the men in black, and sunglasses alongside him, a tall gray alien. Wow. The low-quality image has been generated to look like a secretly captured photograph with blurry fingers obscuring part of the view. It may be an effort to remind people the so-called UFO files, or the X-Files, released early this month, which will appear to have failed to distract Americans from the Iran war. That's Metro, left-leaning rag. So that's what they're saying. Oh, that's why he's putting all this stuff out, to distract you from the Iran war. I could give two shits about the Iran war. I want it to come to an end. I want gas prices to come down. I want all the futures to change. I want everything to have what? I want to get the nuclear dirt slop back so we can prove that Obama gave it. Yeah, I want that. Documents from recently renamed Department of War revealed astronauts on the Apollo missions have seen mysterious lights in space, and also that Nazis tried to build a UFO during the Second World War. Yeah. And this is so funny. There was more images and all this other stuff. Other posts from yesterday, Slop Spree placed Trump on some kind of ship in orbit around Earth, highlighting his role, creating U.S. Space Force. I think it's funny. And one, he presses a big red button, sitting at a desk with 4 extremely tiny generals beside him. On the screens, his rear explosions can be seen destroying part of the planet's surface, while 2 mini explosions bizarrely take place on the desk itself. Maybe that we should take Space Force's, let's just say, impact a lot, let's just say, at a greater level. Just continue that. The president has long been a fan of sharing AI-generated images on social media pages and has been posting them more frequently. In a similar spree on May 9th, he visualized his eyebrow-raising smile of an Iranian drones falling to the ocean like dying butterflies. But it's less obviously misleading posts that may cause more concern. Amid the AI nonsense, all included a bar chart comparing the length of the war in Iran. It says the Middle East excursion had just lasted 6 weeks compared to 196 for the Second World War, 209 weeks for the U.S. Civil War. However, the war was actually going on for 10 weeks and hasn't kicked off of February. I mean, again, the media trying to say that this is a long, protracted war when this war, we're in a ceasefire. I mean, there's no land incursion. There's nothing going on in some way. I mean, people are just really, trying to really exacerbate this in so many different ways because they can't wrap their head around what's going on. And there's a purpose why you're not understanding what is taking place. There's a reason why the distraction, the confusion, the misdirection, and him pausing and threatening and all these other things is to what? Outdo the media. I think there are things that are going behind the scenes. No one is calling about, no one's targeting about, no one's talking about. And the reason why you need to understand what is happening is because of this. He is basically making sure that there's a wide array or a gamut of divertisement that's all over the place, that people can't singly focus on one thing. They are totally and completely just distraught with distractions. They can't focus on this. Think about the Iraq war. Think about Afghanistan. We were just singly-mindedly all day, every day, 24/7. Completely different. There's shit going on left and right, Marshall.
I think, I think that he is sending a message to them, which is they live. All right? He's saying, I'm going to bust your ass and I'm going to expose you. If you don't want, these are threats. He's threatening them, like that picture with the shackles on that guy.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yep.
He's threatening you. He's saying, if you don't go along, I mean, this is just me. This is conspiracy me. You don't go along, we're going to expose you, and the whole world is going to come after you and murder your ass. I mean, that's what this is a message, I think.
Well, yeah. Who is he directing it to? We know
they live.
The deep state elements that are controlling apparatus don't want this information out there. And Space Force basically controls all this stuff. And I think there is a large contingent of President Trump, sending a message out there. That's why I have this thing out there, definitely AI generated. Some people really thought that was real, but the content is already impossible. But even ignoring it, the technical tells are very clear. I think you're going to get real disclosure very soon. What time to be alive? Here's the basically 4 that have been discussed. The small grays, the tall grays, the praying mantis styles is the reptilians and the Nordics. That's what we're told. They exist. We have evidence of that they exist. We've interacted with them. In fact, it's confirmed. Hal Puthoff going viral, confirming that we retrieved 4 different types of humanoid aliens from down UFO aircraft. We haven't heard if they're alive. We don't know if we're working with them either. Greys, reptilians, Nordics, insectoids. Wow. I mean, in some way, when you see this and understand this, the disclosure, as much as we want to make fun of it and poke it and stuff, it's going to get to a serious point. And every other week that they're releasing information, I think that's perfectly set up and timed around the war and what's breaking. All right, one or two things before we dip out. Let's get into what's happening with Cuba. This came out. Marco Rubio was talking about it. So this was being brought out. U.S. intelligence shows Cuba acquiring 300 drones. I think it was. Did they say this came from Iran? We don't know. A U.S. attack on Key West in Florida. Classified U.S. intelligence reveals Cuba's acquired more than 300 military drones and has talked about using them to attack the U.S. naval base at Guantanamo, American military bases, and potentially Key West, as Axios reported on Sunday. A senior official told Axios that the U.S. intelligence information highlights a degree to which the Trump administration views the island as a growing threat due to the advancements in drone warfare and the presence of Iranian military advisors. Aha, there you go. So the Iranian military advisors there and drones that are there. You don't have enough to power your country up, feed your country, but you got enough to have drones over there to weaponize to attack Gitmo and Key West. Are we being set up for this? Is this just sabotage and subterfuge? Is this just agitprop? I don't know. I don't know where people are getting this stuff, but it is what it is. And when you think about those types of technologies being close and a range of bad actors from terror groups, can you imagine they use drones, Marshall, to attack Key West in some way? You know, we see videos. Drones are attacking Key West. Jimmy Buffett Bar just destroyed. You know, all these different, like, iconic places just leveled. It's on fire. We're at war with Cuba. And all we do is, like, launch 2 missiles over there, and Cuba's like, done. It's finished. Is this a lead up to that? Are they trying to push a narrative to get us to incite in something in some way? Is something going to take place? Are we setting up for a false flag scenario? In a written statement posted on X, the Cuban embassy in Washington defend its right for military readiness. Okay. So they have a right to defend themselves from internal aggression. Marco Rubio came out yesterday. He said, we have given them $100 million, pledged $100 million to give them for their people. And the Cuban government has turned it down, has basically blocked us from doing this in some way, because they know once this goes through, they're going to lose power. They already lost power. Why would the CIA director show up this past weekend there, meeting them? When the CIA director shows up with a team there at Cuba or any other country, that means you're going bye-bye. That means that's what they do. They topple nations. That's what they've been doing for the last 50 years. So you're going to tell me, like we toppled the Shah, or we tried to do it this time around? It's going to happen. You don't think they want this? Okay? When we failed in the 60s, oh, it's coming. Oh, it's coming. And it's going to happen very quickly. Your thoughts? I mean, this is just a funny article.
It reminds me of the movie The Russians Are Coming.
Yeah.
Like the mad world type shit. Remember that movie?
Yep.
And they attack the coast, and the townspeople are getting together trying to fight them. That's exactly what we're going to go ahead and attack a resort town down in the Keys. That's going to make a great point. It's ridiculous, Brett.
No, I know. Thank you, 23&9 for the can. Thanks, Brett and Marshall. Thank you, Thea, for the can. Thea for the cookie. 23&9 gift of the cookie. Trusty, thank you. All right, let me finish up. And I just got to cover it because some of the people are asking me about Spencer Pratt. And I guess I haven't been covering him because I don't care about, LA and stuff, but maybe I should. From the, I don't know. Maybe I should.
Got a great one from Prince.
Yeah, so I got a couple of things. So I'm not going to cover it. The Blaze basically calms an opinion. Spencer Pratt is showing conservatives how it's done. And I'm just going to show you a couple of videos and we're going to dip out. I mean, honestly, this guy looks like Trump 2.0. I mean, what he's doing is just amazing. And these videos are fantastic. If he doesn't win, that means they stole it. I'll just leave it at that.
Now this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down, and I had to take a minute to run for mayor. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air. In West Los Angeles, Palisades, my backyard is where I spent most of my days, feeding hummingbirds, relaxing all cool, avoiding all the bums outside of the school. When a couple politicians who were up to no good started making trouble in my neighborhood, I got at one little fire, my mom got scared and said, "You're moving in with Harvey Levin in Bel Air."
This is pushback against TMZ.
I pulled out from my lot about 7 or 8, and I yelled to the rubble, "Yo ho, smell you later." I moved to my kingdom, I was finally there to sit on my throne as the Prince of Bel Air.
That's fantastic. I mean, there's something really iconic about what he has done. And the fact that the two candidates who basically canceled the debates, you got Karen Bass and the other dimwit from the city council, third world communist scum, they're working in tandem now to push back against this and try to steal this, to usurp the election. I don't think they're going to make it. I think people have had enough. Yes, there are fires going on in Simi Valley. This is not going to end well for them. The longer this continues on, and the more and more Californians and people in those regions are going to have to deal with these fires, and there's not going to be any type of, let's just say, pullback. I can tell you right now, his chances are going to go way, way up. And it's only in 10 days? 15 days, the election is. There it is. You're not alone. Vote Spencer Pratt.
All right,
you get
class,
yoga bitches to vote
today.
for you? It's game over.
I have to tell you something. Promise you won't get mad? I'm voting for Spencer Pratt. Get mad? I'm voting for Spencer Pratt too. Did someone mention Spencer Pratt? No?
Of course you are.
Because I'm actually voting for him. Oh, so are we. I just don't know if we can say that too loud over here. Say what? Spencer Pratt? He's got my vote. Wait, is everyone here voting for Spencer Pratt?
Mark, get all the colors in there. Make sure you bring all the crayons. Okay, 100 different colors. Baskin Robbins, it's very good. Very smart way to lay it out. Excellent job. He knows how to target an audience. He is really good. As a reality star, I didn't even know who he was until I'm like, whatever. And I'm like, all right. But these videos, I was watching the Blaze talk about him. And honestly, there's something iconic. Maybe I'll cover it again on Wednesday because I'm out of time. But Spencer Pratt released another AI banger. This guy can win everything, as he should. I didn't say any of these videos are insane. It's insane. This is my favorite, by the way. And we'll dip out after this.
Daddy!
You were in a coma. 3 years. MacArthur Park, right? Where are all the needles and homeless people?
The mayor fixed it.
Wait, isn't this downtown? Where are all the tents? The piss and the shit and the criminal drug addicts?
The mayor fixed it.
They rebuilt the Palisades? How?
The mayor fixed it.
Wow. Karen Bass really turned the city around.
Karen Bass isn't the mayor anymore, honey.
Who's the mayor?
Spencer Pratt.
My philosophy, if it ain't white, it ain't right. Remember that. He's going to win, and he's going to win big time. I'm going to tell you, they're going to change this around because he's 100% right. He targets the audience purposely, and he knows who to go after. He knows exactly who he's targeting, and it's very smart. It's brilliant what he's doing, Marshall. I am completely just shocked at some of these videos that he's put up there. It's just like blown me away. Your thoughts? I mean, we're going to dip out. I mean, I'm over the time, but.
I can just say that Trump is loving this, and I know he's seeing it. And he's probably going, man.
I wonder if someone's helping him. You think someone's helping him? Is he getting help?
Yeah, Trump maybe. He may be.
I don't know. I'm not saying that. We shouldn't say that.
Well, I'll just say.
Or is he that? He's got his own team doing this, and it's that good.
There's TV people
that
are conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Could be any number of stars.
I agree with that.
Huge.
Hollywood, yeah. I mean, can you imagine?
Conservative Hollywood is helping him.
Yeah.
They're done, Brett.
Yeah.
They've been burnt out. The candle is burnt.
Yep.
I love it.
I see that, Alita. The Reagan Museum right now, I was reading, they're in trouble. Can you imagine the Reagan Museum burns down because of their ineptitude? My God. There'll be a turnover left and right. You'll be hanging Karen Bass and all these people. It's disgraceful what's going on. And they allow all this stuff to continue on. Doral, I'll give to the cookie. Pratt can hold his own against these guilty treasonous criminals. Yeah. People are just sick of it. The DIA is out. DEI and all the other minority garbage is out. If it ain't white, it ain't right. Just remember that thought. Thank you to you for the cookie. Thank you for 23 and on. What's up? Thank you again for the can. Good to see you. Thank you all for supporting the platform. If you want to help out, Marshall, Ko-Fi.com/surfdog74. Marshall, party thoughts before we dip out.
Yeah, where freedom survives, whites thrive.
Yep.
Or something like that. You know the idea.
Yep. And that's keep
Everybody
that in mind.
Follows the white. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
No, that's the bottom line. That's where it's all going. It's all going. You know what? We can make it better for everybody else. And that's the key. Burn the motherfuckers. That song is in my head now. Laugh out loud. Yeah, Darlell. Thank you, Thea, for the cookie. Good to see everybody out there. We're past our time. It's over. We will return on Wednesday for the Wednesday show. Have a great, blessed evening. Good night. Be well, be safe, be smart, and take care. Ciao, Bella.
All right.